Day 4, so we're going to drop this foil-backed rigid insulation board in each bay like that. What we're going to do, we're going to fix these treated battens to the underside there to stop it falling through. I'm going to cut it, John and Glenn are going to fit it, and once we've got the insulation in, then we'll move on to the next step. Right, so we've got most of the insulation in now. I'll just give you a quick little insight to how we cut it. So there's a bay over there I'm going to cut, it's 197 wide. So I'll lock the tape at 197 on my finger like that. Score it down, that'll give me a parallel 197 line there, and then if you keep your saw quite low, then you'll be able to cut it relatively straight. It's a bit of a bugger to cut, to be fair. And there, that's your 197 section. That's what's going in the floor. 100mm foil backed rigid board insulation. Right, so because we put the slate battens down, it then enables you to walk over the middle without falling through it, so the insulation is never going to drop down. You actually physically walk on that now. So the full floor is insulated in 100mm foil backed rigid insulation. We'll now put a breathable membrane over the top of that to stop any moisture coming up, but moisture can't come up anyway because we're actually off the floor with our system. And then we'll put on our chipboard flooring, which I'll show you later on. Right, we'll start doing the flooring now. First of all, we're going to put this roofing membrane on. It's a breathable membrane. It allows, it stops moisture coming in through that way, and it allows to breathe through that way. So we put it upside down to stop any moisture coming up. As I said before, we're off at floor, we're not going to get any moisture. And then we're going to board with this tongue and groove 22mm Aga Protect chipboard flooring. It's best on market. There's only us that are using it as far as I can see. Some people aren't even using tongue and groove flooring. But this is what we use this always. It's the strongest floor, and it's got protective coating on top of it, which allows for, I think, up to 6 weeks out in the elements, which obviously aids at this time of year if it's going to rain and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do. So I've put a strip down already. We're going to cut this flooring. As you can see there, we've got the nuts coming up from the pile. So what we'll do, we'll notch around the nuts, but then the walls will just go straight over the top of the notchings for the nuts. This is basically what we're doing with these boards. So we're putting these chipboard flooring boards down, we're screwing them rather than nailing them. We could nail them, take probably half the time, but your floor tends to squeak, so we always screw them down. We glue them together with this 5-minute wood adhesive polyurethane glue. We're using a Makita impact driver, top of the range. The only thing that lets them down are these crap bits, so we're now trying the Milwaukee ones. They're too soft and they're not breaking, but the head's going on them. The other ones just generally break. We'll use a lump hammer and a block of wood to break the boards into submission basically and get them to go tight. So basically that's what we're going to do. We're going to put all the boards, the offcut of that board then goes down there. We'll put the membrane down on top of that, and we'll just keep on going as we are. And what I'm doing, I'm feeling for the timbers there, and I put a mark there on the boards just so I know where to screw them when I fit them. And that's it basically. So we're just going to do this full area, and that's the way we're going to do it. We've got our 22mm Aga Protect down, we've got our breathable membrane down to that. I've miscalculated there, so we're board short, so we'll pop that one in tomorrow. When this 5-minute glue's gone off, we'll go around, and it's not quite gone off yet, but we'll go around and scrape that all off. We use 5-minute glue because it takes 5 minutes and I've got zero patience. So what we're going to do now is build the back wall, but we're going to build the back wall on the floor. We're going to clad it in OSB, and we're going to put the membrane and the slate lats on it because the gap here is quite slim and difficult to work in, and it tapers down that end as well because the fence isn't square to the front of the garden. So we'll build this wall on the floor and then stand it up, and then that will be that wall basically. But then the other walls we won't be able to fit in till tomorrow till we finish the floor because I've also. We're going to make the back wall, we're going to make it on the floor, and then we're going to stand it up because there's very little room to get in the back there. So there's a little, how to make a stud wall basically. So the longest timber we can get is 4.8. I'll explain why we're using this size timber in a minute. So 4.8. So what you do, you get your top plate and your bottom plate, put them together like that, and then we're spacing at 400. So if you just go like that, 4, 8, 12, and so on, all the way to the end. And then what you'll do is you'll leave that plate there, put that plate over there. John will cut the uprights, we'll put the uprights in between, and I'll nail them. The reason why we're using 6x2 is we're having some sound insulation on this, so we need to have as thermal insulation and a sound insulation, which is creating a deeper wall cavity. So that's the reason why we're using 6x2. So as I say, we're going to build it on the floor and we're going to stand it up and fix it in place. John's just setting up the saw for the uprights there, so what he'll do, he'll lock that saw off at whatever length we need to cut them, and once the length's locked off, then he'll just basically throw the timbers up and cut them, and they'll all be exactly the same size. So there's sort of like the working out to get the wall height. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a bigger wall at the front with the steel above the doors, and a smaller wall at the back with a 4-inch pitch from front to back, which will then give off the rainfall. We're going to use this air nailer, Makita air nailer. It fires 90mm nails there. That's what we're going to make our framing with. You need to be using nails really, because screws can snap under pressure, so we just nail all ours. Clad the walls with this 11mm OSB for a bit of structural rigidity. The boards, somebody could probably tell me this, I've never even googled it, but the boards they're 4 foot and 8 foot rather than 1.2 and 2.4 like a plasterboard. So we've set our timbers to go for our plasterboard. So what we've got to do with the OSB is rip it down in width to 1.2, and we've also got to rip it down in length so that it covers to the bottom of the wall. And then what we'll do, we'll use this coil nailer and basically just go down and nail all the way down and nail the full board to the wall, and then that'll give us a rigid, nice and square wall. Right, so we've now covered that big wall we've made with a breathable membrane. What we're going to do now is put these treated battens on, which will carry the feather edge. So we don't normally build the walls like this, but because of the access to get into the back is a bit tight, we're going to now feather edge it as well, and then we'll stand the wall up in one full complete unit. That's the full back wall, 6.2 long, it's got its feather edge on, it's got its OSB 11mm, it's got its breathable membrane, and it's got its treated battens. What we're going to try and do now, what we have to do now, is lift it up and drop it into place. There's quite a bit of weight in there. Unfortunately, there's not a fourth man to video it, so hopefully you'll see it when it's up. That's day 4 over. So today we've got the floor insulated. We've put a 22mm Aga chipboard protector on top of that. I've under ordered there, so we'll have to get another piece tomorrow for that. We've built this wall, it's 6.2 long. We've built it out at 6x2 because we're going to have sound insulation on this. On the back we've OSB'd it, 11mm OSB. We've put a breathable membrane around it, and we've also fit the feather edge, and we've stood it up and we'll go. That's the back wall complete. It'll just want plumbing when we do the rest of the room. Tomorrow we're going to drop that bit of floor in there, build the rest of the walls, put the steel above the door, put the door openings in, the window opening in, and possibly start doing some of the roof.